So against every expectation, Trudeau actually did the right thing. And although there seemed to be a concerted effort amongst leftist politicians and the media in Canada to obscure the real reasons for the tariff threats, it had actually been stated pretty clearly. Here's Howard Lutnick from the Trump transition team.
The president is focused on ending fentanyl coming into the country. You know that the labs in Canada are run by Mexican cartels. So this tariff model is simply to shut their borders with respect America. If we are your biggest trading partner, show us the respect, shut your border, and end fentanyl coming into this country. So it is not a tariff per se. It is an action of domestic policy. Shut your border and stop allowing fentanyl into our country, killing our people. So this is a separate tariff to create action from Mexico and action from Canada. And as far as I know, they are acting swiftly. And if they execute it, there will be no tariff. And if they don't, then there will be. But it's an action-oriented model. That's not the ordinary tariff. The ordinary tariffs need to be studied and examined, and that will start, as the EO said, in April.
So first secure the border, and then later deal with the trade issues. And so it turns out it's not just that Trump just likes tariffs. There was a specific issue here that was laid out clearly. And I wonder if this had anything to do with it. Mexico has agreed to deploy 10,000 troops to the U.S.-Mexico border in exchange for a 1-month delay on President Donald Trump's threatened tariffs. I mean, the message there is that, yeah, this can actually be solved, just deal with the border. And now there is a promise from the Canadian government to deal with the Canadian-U.S. border. And so the tariffs have been delayed for 30 days. This is obviously to see if it's just words or if it's actually going to be action. Here from Justin Trudeau, I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. We will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. I have also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl, and we will be backing it with $200 million. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. And the 30 days is to see if it's talk or action. And that's a very, very valid concern when you're talking about the Trudeau Liberal Party. And what did it say in this headline from Brian Lilly? It says, Trudeau gave Trump last-minute concessions to avoid tariffs. The actions Trudeau is promising to Donald Trump now are the kind of actions a responsible PM would have already been undertaking for our own sake. And I don't see the downside in this. I don't know why this wasn't just immediately agreed to, because it's good for Canada just as well as the United States. Reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Now, I'm hoping that also deals with our ports, because that's where all the precursors are coming into Canada, and then in Canada being turned into deadly drugs. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. Yet this is all good stuff for Canada. Canada has an addiction and overdose epidemic. And frankly, it's shameful that another country had to tell us to get our shit together. How about this? A fentanyl czar. That sounds good. 24/7 eyes on the border. That sounds good. See, Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. Canada has a massive foreign money laundering problem as well. So I don't see the downside for Canada here. This all just makes sense. I mean, obviously, the messaging we've been getting from our government that overdosing on fentanyl is just simply a valid lifestyle choice, that's not working. And having a Canada-U.S. joint strike force, that just gives us access to resources that we simply wouldn't have without it. This was just a no-brainer from the start, and obviously will be popular in Canada. And to be honest, I'm shocked that Trudeau actually did this. I was convinced he was using this, and he may have been using it for political gain, an extremely misguided attempt at political scheming. And then maybe when Mexico came to an agreement, he realized, yeah, at the end of the day, the negative effects of this, the Liberal Party is going to wear. And the CBC is just never going to have enough government money to spin it any other way. But again, there's no downside to this. In fact, it's just what we should have been doing. Here from Kirk Lubimoff. Canada wouldn't be in this position if the Liberals didn't choose crime and criminals over Canadians. For years, Conservatives have been calling on Justin Trudeau Liberals to be tough on crime. Police associations called on the Liberals to be tough on crime. Local politicians called on the Liberals to be tough on crime. And millions of Canadians did as well, seeing their cities destroyed. The Liberals saw thousands of Canadians die from the free-flowing drugs and did nothing. They saw crime stats go through the roof and did nothing. They saw Canadian cities turn into crime-infested zombie zones and did nothing. Never forget that they chose to do this to Canada and Canadians. Unforgivable. Yeah, and this is why I'm surprised that this happened, that they managed to come to an agreement to delay the tariffs while they show that they're actually serious about doing any of this. And I'm not even convinced of that, to be honest. And let's finish with that Pierre Poilievre. He says, like Canadians across the country, Conservatives are relieved to hear that there will be a 1-month pause on tariffs from the United States that would have hurt workers, families, and businesses on both sides of the border. But this is not a time to sit back. We must urgently work to strengthen Canada's economy and do everything we can to ensure these tariffs are never brought in. Liberals must recall Parliament now and put country first over party so that we can put Canada first. Yeah, so, I mean, we dodged a bullet there because Trudeau finally actually did the right thing for once. I'm sure against his own instincts. But this isn't over yet. These changes still need to be actually competently implemented. And I don't have a lot of confidence in that. And why would I or anybody else? And then we're still going to have the actual trade issues coming up later this year that are going to have to be skillfully navigated. And what we really need is a real government, a functioning government, as opposed to what we have now, which is a prorogued or suspended parliament, while the Liberal Party decides which sacrificial lamb they're going to feed to the Conservatives in the next election. Then what we really need is an actual functioning government, a functioning parliament, and a prime minister that's right more often than a stopped clock. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.